Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about the novel Ender's Game, written by Orson Scott Card. Now, before I go into the summary and explanation of this novel, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow and so that I know to keep making more videos. This novel begins in a futuristic Earth where technology is very much advanced, and we see that this army that basically fights its battle in space, preparing for an attack against these enemies called the Buggers. This army doesn't use grown men as soldiers, it uses children. So it recruits children from 4, 5, 6 years old and up to fight in this war. And we get introduced to this family, the Wiggins family, and there's three children. The problem is that within this family, this society or this earth doesn't allow families or parents to have more than two kids. However, the Wiggins family has three kids, which is violating the law. Now, what's really interesting about these kids is that they're all geniuses. Peter, Valentine, and Ender are extremely smart. Ender's the youngest, Valentine is the middle child, and Peter's the oldest. Peter and Valentine were both selected at one point of time, to be a part of the army, but for the specific role they were looking for, Valentine wasn't selected because she was too kind, and Peter wasn't selected because he's too vicious, and he's out for blood. Ender, on the other hand, they think that he might be the right one because maybe he might be the balance between his two siblings. So in a way, Ender is kind of like the Goldilocks child. He's not too warm or too cold. So Ender gets recruited. He goes into outer space, into this base, and he's training. Ender passes the tests and the simulations very fast. He meets different individuals such as Bean and Alan, and other people he meets that are great strategists, and he learns very quickly. He beats people that are above him, people who are several years above him, but because of his mind and because of his ability to understand how enemies think and to see their strategies, and understand them very thoroughly, and then creating a way to defeat them, he advances very quickly and beats people very quickly. It becomes to a point where he's the most known individual and the most known soldier in the whole academy, and no one can really beat him because he comes up with different ideas and different strategies to win games and battles. So Ender is excelling and he's becoming a well-known figure, but he does make some enemies along the way. He meets a kid by the name of Bonzo and another in the beginning of the novel by the name of Stilson or Stilton, and what happens is he kills both of them. And the reason why he kills both of them, he didn't mean to kill them, or he didn't set out to kill them. He was defending himself in a way where they wouldn't come back to hurt him in the future. And because he tried to do that and tried to hurt him enough to not allow them to come back, he ends up killing them. And he doesn't really know that he killed them, but he does. In a way, Ender is a killer that doesn't really have to try to kill people, but the way he thinks strategically makes himself kill people or kill things without intending to do so. So in this academy, while he's learning, while he's excelling, there's this game that he plays where he's actually passing very fast and he's excelling very fast. He reaches a point where he's stuck, and he reaches this giant that gives him two things to drink. Every time he picks one of the things to drink, he dies. And he plays this game several times, and he has to figure out which one of these things to drink is the poison or the thing that's not. But every time he picks something, he always ends up dying. Till he reaches a point where he kicks over the glasses, he kicks over these drinks, and he barrels into the eye of this giant and kills the giant. And this whole new land is created from the corpse of this giant. And then Ender reaches this tower. He finds a snake, and he kills the snake. He throws it into this mirror that he finds, and then he dies. And he spends several time with this new trial, and he can't pass it. And what they end up doing, what these overseers end up doing, they find Valentine, the only person that loves Ender, the only person that Ender, really cares about, and they make Valentine, of course, Ender's sister, as I said before. They make Valentine write Ender this letter, and then after writing this letter, Ender goes back to that trial. He takes the snake and picks it up and kisses it. He thought that the snake was going to kill him. Keep in mind, this is a simulation. So after he kisses the snake, he realizes he's not dead. But then he takes the snake to the mirror, and then he wins the game. But he does see a picture of his brother in the mirror, which really baffles his overseers because they're like, "What is his brother doing in the game? We have no pictures of his brother at all." Later, it is revealed that it's nothing that the computer, the simulation, or his overseers were doing. It's the aliens, the buggers that he's going to face. They were trying to communicate with him. Because let's keep in mind, this whole war that's going around, it's not because the buggers hate human beings or that human beings hate buggers. It's because human beings do not know how to cope with aliens. They do not have a way to speak with them. They do not have a way to communicate with them. And the only way they're trying to survive or keep their lives going is by killing these buggers. So the war is literally over not being able to communicate with an alien race. So the war goes on, or the training of Ender goes on, and he gets promoted. After he spends time at the academy, he actually gets promoted. He goes to another trainer, and this is where he meets Major Rackham. Now, while all of this is going on back on Earth, Valentine and Peter are not just sitting around. They're actually doing something that's very important. They realize if they don't somehow gain control and take over the Earth, that humans are going to destroy each other. Because at this point, several countries, all around the globe are prepping up to attack each other, even though they know that there's a race, an alien race that's coming to destroy them. So what happens is Valentine and Peter, they make these pseudonym names for themselves, and they go online and they get into politics. Valentine, online, she's known as Demosthenes, and Peter is known as Locke. And they each, become very famous and very well known in the political arena, and they make names for themselves. And they actually change the mind of different people. And later in the novel, Peter actually becomes this ruler of the earth. Valentine becomes well known too, but she does not become the ruler of the earth. More on that later. So Ender meets Major Rackham, and Major Rackham reveals to him that the reason why he won the last war is because these buggers are basically like evolved ants. And as you know, with evolved ants, if you take out the queen, basically the rest of the ants don't know what to do until there's another queen. So their strategy is to fight the buggers, find the queen. When you kill the queen, you win the war because the rest of the buggers don't know what to do. So Ender gets training. He trains, he trains, he trains, and it comes to this point where he's good enough where they do this major simulation. And Major Rackham says, "I'm going to be putting things into the computer. You're going to be training, and you're going to be doing your best. Don't mess up, and do your best because we're assessing your skills here." So Ender is prepared. He's trying his best, and one after the other, he's winning battles. He's winning um, different simulations. He's winning. He's winning. He's winning. And he also have people he knew from the past in the academy with him. His friend, ally, or his other soldiers. Because at this point, they're all about war. They're all about strategy. They're all about killing the buggers. Um, and he's surrounded by other people. He doesn't really see them, but he can communicate with them, and they're all in the simulation. They're all strategizing with him, and they're figuring out a way to kill the buggers. And they're killing the buggers. They're winning, and it comes to this point where they reach the home planet of the buggers in the simulation, and it's the most you know thousands upon millions of buggers, and Ender has to figure out a way to attack them, a way to kill them. And Anger at this point, he's really mad. He's really angry for Major Rackham, for giving him this last task in the simulation, because he's like, if you don't want me to pass, why are you giving me such a simulation? How am I going to defeat this? They're coming everywhere in every direction. What I'm going to do? So Ender, he's like, all right, I don't care. I'm going to make this one move that's pretty much probably is going to kill us. But hey, since they're not going to let me pass, then I'm not going to try. So he does this movement, this weird move where he gets past the buggers, and he kills. He goes towards their home planet, and they pretty much all die. They win it. They kill the queen, and the rest of the buggers die. And then Major Rat comes, and there was like a bunch of other people in this room watching Ender play the simulation, and it's revealed to Ender that the entire time he's been playing this major simulation, it's all been for real. That it never has been a simulation. He's literally been killing real buggers, and that the war has been going on this entire time. That all of these battles and all these movements that he's been, all these carrying out all of the strategies, it's all real. None of it's fake. He's been killing buggers the entire time. And Ender cannot believe it. Because in his heart, he's not a killer. He doesn't want to be like Peter and be a murderer without a heart. And he doesn't believe it. He's shocked. And then after all of this all of this happens, it's revealed back on Earth that everybody's cheering, everybody's celebrating that Ender Wiggins has killed the buggers, and Earth has won this war, and he's now a military hero. He's probably gonna get medals and trophies, because now he's a legend, because he just saved the Earth. He just saved the human race. So after all this takes place, it's revealed that Ender cannot go back to Earth, because everybody consider him to be the most renowned soldier, the most renowned strategist, that he could probably destroy any army. So he can't go back to Earth. What happens is he and Valentine, his sister, they actually go off together, and they start colonizing the planets of the buggers. So the book really ends with Ender on the planet of the buggers. He actually discovers this queen bugger that was actually left for him by the other buggers. They try to communicate with Ender, and they realize that Ender is the only individual or the only human that could probably listen to them. And they said, we know that we're probably going to die. That's why they had that simulation. They tried to communicate with Ender in the simulation, which that picture of Peter was there. So they actually reconstruct that whole simulation with the giant dying and the tower of the house. So Ender in real life, when he's on the planet of the buggers, he actually finds this place that looks exactly like the game, and he goes into the room, into the tower. He sees this carpet that kind of looks like a snake, and then he goes into this mirror, and behind the mirror, he finds a queen bugger who is literally, she has the potential to give birth to thousands upon thousands of a new race of buggers. And so Ender is not evil. He doesn't kill it. He doesn't destroy it. He actually takes it and he reveals it to Valentine. And they try to find a new home for the buggers, for these aliens. And the book really ends with Valentine and Ender colonizing this new world. Peter is, the ruler of Earth. They're not really ever going to go back to Earth, because Peter would probably just take control of Ender and show him off as his top strategist and so forth. So they spend their days colonizing other planets, and they try to find a new home for the buggers. And that's really Ender's Game. That's what really happens. In terms of explanation and analysis, this book really reveals to us, sometimes, especially when it comes to the relationship between Valentine and Ender, he really didn't have anybody that loved him, anybody who really truly believed in him. except for Valentine. So he really tried to keep that alive. And the only time he said the only reason why he's fighting, the only reason why he's keeping hope, and the only reason why he's killing these buggers is for Valentine because that's the only person he loves, and that's the only person that loves him. His parents, they don't really, um, you know, they know that that's their child, but they don't love him as they should. So Valentine is the only person that really matters to Ender. So if he saves the Earth, he saves it. He saves it so that Valentine can keep on living. The other kids, I think, I I guess kids just play video games better. That's the only reason why I guess adults were not selected to be the soldiers here, because I guess kids can be more creative and more imaginative when it comes to taking down um, aliens in terms of video game um, strategies. So that's the only reason why I guess kids were the soldiers instead of adults here. And in the book, there is a line that does help us understand that better because it says that adults would probably be more cautious when making an attack. A kid is just, more freely able to do things without thinking. And the fact that they hid the fact that Ender was actually killing real people or real beings, that actually helped them a little bit more because I think that if he believed that it was actual things he was killing or actual beings he was killing, he probably would have not done certain things that he would do. Overall, the book is quite interesting. I think that the fact that the children were soldiers, it actually took their humanity away or their beings away. They really never got to be kids. They were adults as soon as they were like 4, 5, 6 years old because they were in the military killing people, talking about politics. They were light years away from their parents, and like you know, they were children, and their parents didn't even know that that Valentine and Peter were talking politics and ruling the world. They didn't know that Ender was just this major strategist killing thousands upon millions of buggers. Um, and so that's very interesting. Personally, one thing I think that this novel really talks about is this idea of what will humans do when they encounter aliens, because we do live in a universe that does have so like millions and millions and billions of planets. There will be one day where the human race, speaking in terms of science and the universe, there is a possibility that humans will meet another intelligent beings. They'll meet other intelligent beings, and how will we communicate with them? Because we have to understand that we will know nothing about each other. We won't know how to speak, how to communicate. We won't have any symbols, anything to communicate. So how will we know that they're coming in peace or to harm us? So that's an interesting question. I think that this novel brings up. That's from my point of view. But that's my summary of the novel. That's my explanation of it. I hope you guys like that summary. I hope it works. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and like. And I'll see you guys in